Wow. Wow. Every time I have people talking about my achievement, I say, did I do all that? Wow. And I have a feeling I still have a long way to go to see the change I want to see in our society. But I achieved all of that? Wow.
Apparently, yes.
I would like to thank Nesri from the bottom of my heart. I met Nesri and any other Turkish delegate here in 2017 in Glasgow about women who surviving difficult situation in refugees with refugees background. And that group of people came from Turkey. They amazed me the way they were dedicated to help. Because at that period, Turkey was the country who were receiving the Syrian refugees in massive numbers. And like I'm always not afraid of doing anything, I travel to Turkey. And I get to Eskişehir, and I visited these women, the Syrian and Iraqi women surviving domestic violence in these places. I've learned the other side of the stories of people of different color, different belief, and different way of living, the way they survive their ordeal. So I'm going to give you a little story of mine, because before I became the British citizen I am today, since I was born, I think I was a citizen of the world, and I met my mother having headaches, my father having headaches. What kind of a child is that? Where are you going? Outside. Come back here. Just 2 minutes outside. And my grandmother used to say, leave her alone, she belonged to the world. And today I understood what she said then. So I was a human rights activist in the Congo. In the year 1995, 1997, the country changed. We came from Mobutu power to Kabila, who took the power with the support of our neighbors. So there was massacre in my country. As a young lawyer, I managed to get to the place where those massacres happened, and I had evidence that made people very uncomfortable. So I have to leave. So I landed in Britain. At the time, I believe it was the greatest land of human rights. At the time I arrived in Britain and London, the greatest land of human rights. I thought the minute I arrived in London, I'll say, I've been persecuted, help me out. This is me at King's Cross Station. It is the 40th of February and it's dark. Remember, I come from the Congo, in a sunny country, and the 40th of February is 2 p.m. and it's dark. That's my first shock as a migrant. It's cold and I have no coat. So, and the other reality, I am 7 months pregnant. So this is me. On the stairs of King Cross Station, and I'm tired and I'm sleeping at the stairs. Ordinary people, just like you and me. Ordinary people, no title, just human, coming next to me to say, are you all right? I don't speak English. At that time, I speak 6 languages, no English. So they managed to get me where I'm supposed to be, at the Immigration Services Cradle, where people seek asylum in Britain. But the journey before, are you all right, until the place I arrived, it was 3 days with no food, no water. This is a 7 months pregnant woman with no food, no water. And when I arrived at immigrations, it was around 4 o'clock in the morning, and the police officer who left me there, and when I look back, I think this police officer was very kind, because he could have just taken me to prison straight away, but he took me to where I'm supposed to tell my story so they can take care of me. There, the early morning, another police team comes and asking, European citizen, this side, European citizen, this side. Asylum, this side. The first time in my life I heard the word asylum, because I know refugee define who I am. Asylum, I don't know what is it. Asylum this way. Asylum, asylum. And then the police officer comes and says, are you a refugee? And I say, yes. Up, up, up. Then she said, God, you pregnant? And I said, yes. And then she then takes me to the entrance of Credon. The place has 6 levels of stairs, and only people who works in the building can use the elevator. Anybody else use the stairs. So this is a woman that has not been eating for 3 days, and she will use the stairs, 6 levels, to get to the top. So I did that, but on the stairs, I couldn't realize what was happening to me, so I started crying. I was crying until I get to the door when one immigration officer came and grabbed me inside. And she said, are you from Congo? And I said, yes. Where's your passport? I said, I don't have any. So why are you here? And I said, I am a refugee. I need to tell you my story. So then the interrogation started, 10 hours. We started at 9 o'clock. We finished at 7 in the evening. Every single details of my story. How did I manage to get to the UK without a passport? That was the questioning. It was not to know what did your country did to you, how did you survive, nothing. But at the end of the interview, this is me doing this. So that the immigration officer realized something is wrong with this woman. And then they guessed to realize this is a pregnant woman, has not been eating or drinking for days. So the ambulance took me to an hospital where I was taken care of. So I'm going to fast forward to the day I arrived to the city where I'm supposed to settle. And that city, I arrived on Thursday before the bank holiday. So the bank holiday is 3 days of holiday on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday, and Monday. And I've been brought into a house where there is no light, there is no electricity, and the guy who actually welcomed me was a very kind young man. He says to me, Deborah, sit right there. I'm going to run inside there, get you something to eat, and I'll bring you into your room and you stay there. But on Sunday morning, when the time was, it was Easter morning, and I said, perhaps I should go and thank God for my ordeal because I'm still alive and because my baby girl is okay. This is me walking in that small village and where people maybe never see a black person. And you see people coming from their room looking up. It's a black person, black person, black person. And the little boy came to me and said, where are you going? Surely the parents sent him in. I mean, I'm going to church. Pray, pray. Oh, church, right there. And I walked to that church, it's too late. The church is finished because the time has changed. In Africa, we don't change time. The time stays the same. And the time changes. And the people at the center welcomed me. Did you check your watch? Watch? I have no watch. It's changed. It's another year. Wait, Deborah. John is the one who looks after refugees here. But is what is coming on Tuesday. So I keep asking myself, why these people work on Tuesday? What's wrong with Monday? What's wrong with Monday? John is coming on Tuesday. So that Tuesday came and I was in the shop where John comes and runs. Welcome to England, welcome to England. This is England. There's Scotland. Oh. Okay, John, I need to finish this immigration matter. But until we get Sophie's born, until we get home, the immigration wrote to me to say, you'll be deported back to DRC. Because at the time I arrived, I didn't bring any evidence with me saying what I have been saying. So there was some political involvement, heavy political involvement on my case. And my case was settled. I was granted refugee status in Britain. The new life as a refugee was the most difficult one. Because the way the system is built in the UK, if you are not born in the UK, if you are not fluently speaking English, and if you are not someone who have been studying in the UK, there is no place for you in the British society. To get to a place where you use your capacity and skills for your community, it's almost impossible in the current British society. So what the British want you to see is, Only speak English here. That's the first thing. Only speak English here. Secondly, if you are a refugee, you need to apply to become a citizen of the country. Once you become a citizen, then you have to integrate. The integration on the elite of the British is to renounce who you are. This is where they were wrong, because I cannot do that. That will never work with me. So we started, refugees. I started first put an application to return to university to study, because I was born in a Francophone country, not in a Commonwealth country. My application for education was refused. First of all, because I was educated in the Congo. Okay? Then I said, okay, I almost have a exceptional career as a young lawyer. Why not applying to the law and to requalify as a lawyer? And the response came, you cannot work in the UK as a lawyer unless you return to university and start everything from the beginning. What? This is 7 years of my life just gone like this? But you know, they made a little mistake in their letters. They write a very little phrase, however, your education qualification is considered as a higher diploma in international law in Scotland. I said, Scotland? Why Scotland? No, let me check that. Scotland. I learned about Robert the Bruce. I learned about William Wallace. I learned about Catholic and Protestant not getting along. I learned about the hatred between the English and the Scots. I said, they're no different than us, really? We're similar. Come on. So this is me, an application to the Law Society of Scotland. 4 weeks later, I am admitted. But one condition, you cannot live in England. You must move to Scotland and stay in Scotland for the next 5 years. Fine with me. This is me again. At that time, I realized with everything I've been through, now that I am officially a migrant in this country, nothing can stop me to find dignity. My trip to Scotland was about dignity, because I refuse to be lower to something just because I was not born in Britain or just because my skin color is too brown. So this is me, packing everything, putting the children in my car, eyeing a van. So we are crossing between England and Scotland. There is this banner saying, "Welcome to Scotland, the land of the brave." So I said to the driver, stop, 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 stop. Get out of my door. And my daughter asked, Mom, what's he saying there? He said, "Welcome to Scotland, the land of the brave. I'm one of them. Let's go." So we cross. The minute I arrive in Scotland, I face what we call the barrier to the difficulty, the cause of barrier and cultural differences. One of the first barriers I had in Scotland was the language. Although I was speaking English, but my accent did not welcome me in Scotland. It wasn't good English enough. The second one, it was stereotyping and prejudice. And the thing is, for every woman I met in Scotland, it was already admitted that I am uneducated, so I've never been to school. For every single woman I was saying, listen, we have a job there to clean the toilet. If you want, you can come just straight away. So why are you telling me this? Because the stereotyping is she's a black woman, she has no education. And then there was another thing, is the behavior and the belief. The behavior of many people I had in Scotland was, because I came alone with the children, and some of them were right. I was a woman who was surviving domestic violence, but it was, oh, she survived domestic violence because she's an idiot. Not because I'm a fighter, but because I'm an idiot. So that was one of the things they were always putting in my face like this, boom, because she's an idiot. And it was us against them. you know, you come here in Scotland, but we have our problems already. We have the English there. Can you be in our side? Where do you live? I live in Edinburgh. No, 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 you need to go to Glasgow. You need to go to Glasgow because this is the resistance to the English. So you see someone who come to a new place to start a new life, a new migrant, your priority is not to make your life easier in order to integrate for peace, but your priority is to take that person in your side and to take your position, to continue the thing. It's everywhere. And conflict in values. You know, you have parents, my children particularly, they were born in England and they're raised in Scotland. They've never been in Africa, but they have friends in Scotland who could have told them, these are the English, don't go to speak to them. And the children will come and say, Mom, they said they're English. I said, you are English, you were born in England. Why will you not speak to them? So you see people trying to look the conflicting values and to inculcate them on the children in such young age. So I was living with these realities. Now, as I arrived in Scotland and I said, I need to go back to who I am. Since I'm starting my internship at a law society, I need to do my job as an advocate for peace, justice, and the champion of refugees. So I'm going to the Scottish Refugee Council. Hello, it's Deborah Kaimbe here. I need to tell you my story. Deborah, we don't need any story today. Can you go, come back tomorrow? Thank you. But just tell the people here, I have a story to tell. 2 days later, they will call me back. Deborah, tell your story. Okay, Deborah, are you happy to give a speech at the Scottish Parliament for Arthur H. University? Is that nice? Is that what I told you? Deborah, we've never heard anything like this before. You need to tell that to Parliament if you have the courage to do that. Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll tell Parliament. So on that day, Scottish Parliament had the first refugee, one of the most successful refugees in Parliament, talking about the condition of refugees in Scotland and how we need to move forward for a better world. The week after, the Royal Society of Edinburgh would contact me and to say, Deborah, would you mind coming for an interview at the Royal Society of Edinburgh? We want to hear you. What you said last night shocked us. We want to hear you. We want to hear your story. So this is me in this 346-old building in the most expensive street in Edinburgh. I'm invited. I get there and I say, I'm Deborah Kaimbe for the interview. Oh yes, Miss Kaimbe, the elevator is broken, but you can take the stairs. You take to the left, go to the right, back to the left again, go to the right. I recorded that perfectly, and that direction brought me to a room of the magnificent man of Scotland. That room is white male wearing the most sumptuous dress on portrait. And I get there, I look, and I say, what the hell am I doing in this place? God. The next time there'll be a black man here, it'll be in 1,000 years. Come on. And then someone come to the room and say, Miss Kaimbe, you lost. The meeting is the other side. Okay. I had my interview. Before I returned home, I was admitted at the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And the Young Academy of Scotland will be my departure for that. The months and year to come, my job was to tell the true, accurate stories about what is happening in Africa. Because I realized there was a lot of non-accurate, I'm not saying lies, but non-accurate situation reported in these places where people make decisions. And it was a time for me to tell what exactly is happening in the field. It's called freedom of expression, isn't it? The right to seek the truth, the right to speak the truth. Even that make your audience uncomfortable. Because that right to seek and speak the truth can change our society for the better. So, at the Working Group for Africa, this is where I took the melon and I go, boom, boom. There is a note coming and say, burn this is a lie about Africa. This is not Africa. Burn that. We need to rewrite this. There were nights Days I could not sleep until I see the true, accurate stories of refugees, of migrants, of the African continent, and the interactions of people putting in a right record. So the Royal Society came from a sleeping society to a waking up society. We have more visitors at Royal Society than ever, coming from all around the world. So this was good. But as you know, it's not everybody in our society to agree with you. When you are a black woman in a society where you are stereotyped as an uneducated, and where your portrait is raised next to the greatest white male in the world, you receive stones. Believe me, I received stones since long, and those stones are coming just to wake me up. And there was one stone from the white supremacist group in Scotland. They have decided to end me completely. So during the pandemic, George Floyd dies. Again, I'm not going to go to this BML movement, although everybody thinks Deborah also is BML, so we need to stop her to join BML. No, I am Deborah Kayembe, the black woman who believes all men are created equal and they're supposed to be treated equally. That's it. Whether there's BML or not, that is not my motto. My motto is to see all human beings living side by side in harmony. But the impression we have now is refugees have become the key playing of political, not only for the refugee, you have the LGBTQ community also being dangerously used by politicians in order to put their agenda forward. And what is sad is our leaders in the world, the one we have right now, are not pro-human. They are pro-egoist. This is where they are. So that is the difficulty we have at the moment. So at the time I came forward with the Freedom War campaign in Scotland, it was after I survived an attempted murder with the white supremacists in Scotland. So, I mean, the whole country was shocked the way this plan was put together to have me killed. But I survived this challenge, and I came back to those who did the wrong to me because they were identified, and I say, can we talk together? I don't want anyone to serve a prison sentence. I want you to come to my table. I want you and I to have a conversation, a dialogue, in which you understand why I'm still in this country, and you understand why other people around the world still leaving the countries and coming here for peace and for a better world. Because many people don't want to hear that. They're just seeing people coming to their lands, and the minutes of that, leave the country, go. Leave our country, go. Sometimes you forgot the luxury and the privilege you have here is built to other people suffering all around the world. And that is the lesson I gave with the Freedom War campaign. After the Freedom War campaign, which was a very successful campaign, it was a very global campaign, I was then called to become rector of Edinburgh University. A very difficult place to be. This is an institution who is widely male-established institution. 2 women before me. The 2 women didn't have teenage children when they become rector, but I have 2 teenage children. And as a rector, my role is to run meetings, 9 hours of meeting, 6 hours of meeting. And I have this robe, it's heavy, it's 432 years old, that robe. And my understanding is the time they built it, it was only for men, not for women. So I gave them some headache. The first time I wear the robe, and I say, where is the pocket? Because I need to put the phone here to call my children. And the robe master tells me, Madam Rector, this was conceived for male. I am not a male, I am a woman, and I have children. Pocket from here now on. You need to petition in court. So this is where we are. The adaptations of other people background, adaptation of other people reality into our society seems to be very difficult, but it's just a human exercise. Your humanity, you think that everything you stand for is available because you are the elite, but those who come has to be subjected to your elitism. Think about this. Think about this. And I'm going to go back against you on the vulnerable group that I have worked with as an interpreter. And there's this story about this man, Mr. Saidi. Mr. Saidi left the Congo, Eastern Congo, to the Nyarugusu refugee camp for 16 years. He lived in the refugee camp for 16 years. That is the program that the American has put in place to bring people from Africa to the United States of America. So at the time he left Africa, he was an American citizen already. So all the processing happened there, and then he traveled to America. 74 years old, with a very lucky man. He had a 35-year-old woman. That was quite astonishing for me. And 7 children, all disabled children. So because of the war, of course, he survived 3 wars in DRC. So they have to take the children in areas where the life was more adaptable for them. But because America is a country who is very, very capitalist, Mr. Saidi has to work. Social security in America is the worst in the world. We have to say that. It's the worst in the world. So there was this doctor, Dr. Jake, a Jewish doctor. The first time I interpret for that man, the Dr. Jake said to the hospital, every time I have to interpret for Mr. Saidi, sorry. You have to ask Deborah to come on the phone to interpret for Mr. Saidi. Mr. Saidi has many problems. High blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, all of it. But he did not have the education to understand how to take his medication. Either his poor wife could not understand because of a lack of education. So it was very difficult. I have to give Mr. Saidi, the nurse at the hospital, my own personal telephone number. So every time they struggle with him, they can contact me in the UK to help Mr. Saidi. 4 months later, Mr. Saidi told me, Deborah, my daughter, he used to call me my daughter. This is very hard. I have to take the medication. I have to be in the city to do the shoplifting job. He has blood pressure. And if I don't do that, I cannot feed my children. So I begin to contact the international agencies that help refugees around the world and trying to look at Mr. Saidi's case, how we can help Mr. Saidi. 3 months later, Mr. Saidi disappeared. I didn't know where Mr. Saidi was taken. So this is 7 months after he arrived in America. Only 3 weeks later when my phone calls and it was Mrs. Saidi. And I said, Mama Saidi, is that you? How is Baba? How is Baba? And Mrs. Saidi said, Deborah, Mr. Saidi made sure that I told you that he was grateful for knowing you in his life. He passed away. Mr. Saidi died in America 7 months after spending 16 years in a refugee camp. If we don't tailor properly our research, how to help vulnerable people in the place of safety, everything we're doing it in vain. This case broke me completely. I could not understand. I told myself, when I contacted the human services in America and I told them about Mr. Saidi, did I have done something wrong there that made the situation worse? We, as scholars, we have the responsibility to fashion our societies. And we don't build our research on something that has already been done, has not been successful. You need to have the courage to go in the field and meet the people in the field to know what is the real problem they have. Otherwise, everything we're doing for nothing. The death of Mr. Saidi hurt me badly because that man, he could get to the phone and say, call my daughter Deborah. He never saw me. Call my daughter Deborah because every time she interprets, everything was fine. And there was another story. Emergency services. A woman was arrested and a man with a man, the police took them in emergency services just because they're black, I'm guessing it was that. And the nurse calls on the phone and said, Deborah, we have a male here, I think he's drunk. He's drunk, and I think I'm going to call the police to have him arrested. And I told him, did you ever call the police for a white man being drunk in an accident emergency? Why are you calling for the black person? And he said, oh, he looks like, I don't feel safe. Oh, okay. And then give me the person on the phone. What happened? Why are you in this state? I drank, I used the money of work, I drank, and my wife hit me. So the police went to the property for domestic disturbance because the wife hit the husband. They took the husband first to the hospital, and the wife was about to be arrested. And I said, listen to me. In my culture, in the Congo, a woman is allowed to slap her husband when he behaves as such. And he cannot be arrested for that. That is the culture. So you leave this matter to me, I'll fix that. And I called the woman on the phone and said, in this country, you don't hit anybody for any reason. You don't slap anybody for any reason. And she said, yes, but how are you going to pay the rent tomorrow? He drank. When you hit him, do you think you have the money back? You're not going to have the money back. But it's going to put you more in trouble. You need to learn to respect the law of the land that welcome you for peace, and then need to learn where you come from, what is acceptable in their culture or not. So that case was stopped there. And I had another case in the UK. The immigration rider came to a property to pick up a man who was called that he was destitute. And they did not find the man, they found the woman, the wife of the man who was pregnant. And they arrested the woman. And the woman was in prison. And I was the interpreter visiting that day. And I asked, why are you here and you're pregnant like this? And he said to me, no, they arrested my husband yesterday. And they put me here until my husband shows up. You know, I told the people in prison, I'm Deborah Kayembe. The minute I walk here, the media will know about all this. And the woman left the place. So there is a lot of abuse of power when it comes to help vulnerable people in our society. And these are the things that we need to work more to understand how much protection we're giving to people that we are helping. It looks like I have 5 minutes to go. Yeah, 2 minutes. Now, I'm going to finish with my story, the story of my life. Tomorrow, after here, I am going to take a plane back to Edinburgh, arrive in Edinburgh tonight. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I'm taking another plane to Belgium. I'm going to see my mama after 19 years of political asylum in the UK. She could not get a visa to come to the UK to be with me, but she got a Schengen visa. And she cannot wait to see me tomorrow. That's the life of vulnerable people, of refugees. My mother was not with me when I was in a difficult marriage, when I was beaten, broke my leg as domestic violence in the UK, when my children were almost taken away from me because I was alone. When my car was ambushed to get killed, my mother could not be with me. I went to the embassy, I asked, give my mother a visa so she can be by my side to support me. My mother was not there. Today, I am the rector of the third richest university in Britain. And that is not enough for my mother to get a visa to come to Britain. This is how they treat refugees. No matter how you go in a society, they look at you, they look the refugee you are, and doesn't represent anything for. But I am so damn happy tomorrow I will see her. Thank you very much.